Okay, so you know how we do deep dives into the stuff you send us, right?
Uh-huh.
This time you've given us something really kind of wild, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about lasers, like, the little laser pointers. And
Right, just simple lasers.
yeah, and there are all these reports of people seeing code or like structured patterns when they shine it on a wall,
Yeah.
which is super weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't expect that.
No, not at all.
And it seems like this happens especially when people are in like a different state of consciousness.
Yeah, altered states.
Right. So basically, we're going to dive deep into all these firsthand accounts you've sent us.
Yeah.
And try to figure out what's going on.
Absolutely. And I think what's so cool about this is it sounds like science fiction.
Totally.
But these are people describing what they're seeing with their own eyes.
Right. Like it's not some fancy scientific experiment.
Exactly.
It's just a laser pointer.
Uh-huh.
So our mission is to really unpack this whole mystery for you. Like, what is this code they're talking about?
Right.
What are people even saying about it, and how are they trying to understand it?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what could this mean for how we see the world? We want to give you those aha moments. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with like what people are actually describing in these sources.
Okay.
So picture this. You're shining a laser pointer at a wall, like just a plain old wall.
Right.
Now what people are reporting is not just like a dot of light.
No.
It's something way more strange.
Yeah, it's really interesting because instead of just that scattered light, people are seeing what they're calling code, like actual characters or digits
Whoa.
forming within the laser light.
That's so bizarre.
Right. And they're not just saying, oh, I see something weird.
Yeah.
They're saying, I see digits or I see characters. So it's very specific.
Yeah. And the reactions in these transcripts are so interesting. Like one person says, it's so bizarre.
Right.
Like something they never thought they'd see. Another person says their brain wasn't ready for it. Like it's really blowing their minds.
It is. And I think what's even more interesting is how people move past their initial skepticism.
Oh, yeah.
Because, your first thought is, okay, this has got to be some kind of trick.
Yeah, like hallucination or something.
Exactly.
But then they talk about seeing the same identical characters as other people who were there.
Right.
So it's not just in their heads.
Yeah, it seems to be something more than just individual perception.
Right, like there's something actually there that they're all seeing.
Exactly.
And what's crazy is that it's not some complicated experiment.
No.
It's literally just a laser pointer.
Yeah, you don't need a research grant or a microscope or any special equipment.
Right, it's just a laser in your own eyes.
Exactly.
And that's what makes this so compelling.
Yeah, it's that contrast between the simplicity of the setup and the strangeness of what's being reported.
Totally. Okay, so let's dig into the details of this code a little more. Like, what exactly are people seeing, and how are they describing it?
Yeah, so one of the things that really stands out and kind of separates this from a typical hallucination is how stable this code is.
What do you mean?
Like, these characters, they don't move around or change with your eye movement.
Interesting.
So it's not like you look away and look back and it's different.
Yeah.
It stays in the same place.
Mm.
They actually describe it as being object permanent.
Oh, like how objects in the real world stay put.
Exactly.
Even when you're not looking at them.
Yeah. So unlike something your mind might just be making up,
Right.
this seems to have a fixed quality to it.
That's wild.
And then there's this whole other layer that gets even weirder.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
People describe seeing the code not only on the wall where the laser is pointing,
Yeah.
but also behind the wall at the same time.
Oh, wait, so they're seeing it in like different depths?
Exactly. It creates this strange sense of layering.
That's a really weird image to imagine.
Right, like this code existing on different visual planes simultaneously. It's not just on the surface.
No, it's like it has depth.
That's so trippy.
It is. And one thing that's emphasized is that these aren't those kind of fluid morphing hallucinations you sometimes hear about with like drugs.
Oh, yeah.
The laser code is described as being constant and clear as day.
So it's not shifting and changing all the time.
No, it's very consistent.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's this analogy that I think might help to visualize this a bit.
Yeah.
Imagine you're shining a flashlight on a map. As you move the flashlight, different parts of the map become illuminated,
Yeah.
revealing details that were always there, but you just couldn't see them before.
Right.
The suggestion here is that the laser might be doing something similar.
Like it's not creating the code. It's
No, yeah.
revealing something that's already there.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. That's a good analogy.
Now, another really important point that comes up a lot is the role of consciousness.
Yeah, that seems to be a big part of this. One person puts it very directly. You need to bring your consciousness to a different state to see this.
Wow. Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, it suggests that our normal everyday state of awareness might not be the only way to perceive reality.
Right, like there could be other ways of seeing things.
Exactly. And they
Yeah.
talk about a continuum of consciousness.
So like different levels of awareness.
Yeah, and the implication is that certain states of consciousness might be necessary to access these unusual perceptions.
Like a key that unlocks a hidden door.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about the laser itself.
Yeah.
It's also about the state of mind of the person observing it.
Absolutely. And of course, when you encounter something this strange,
Yeah.
people want to try and make sense of it using what they already know.
Of course.
So there are some really interesting analogies that come up in the sources.
Okay, like what?
Well, one that stands out is a comparison to the movie Contact.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
Remember how they were trying to decipher a message hidden within this seemingly random signal? Right, yeah.
It's like finding a formulaic structure in something that initially seems like noise.
Uh-huh.
So the suggestion here is that maybe this laser code is also a hidden message or structure.
Yeah, like it's trying to tell us something.
Exactly. There's even a quote from Contact in the transcripts that's really profound.
What is it?
It's about how beautiful dreams and such horrible nightmares can coexist.
Yeah.
And that ultimately what matters is each other.
Wow, that's deep.
It is. It hints at the idea that maybe there's something really profound hidden within this laser code.
Like a deeper truth about reality or something.
Yeah. Another analogy that's used is looking through a microscope.
Okay.
So you know how a microscope reveals a whole world of tiny creatures and structures
Yeah.
that are always there, but we just can't see them with our naked eyes?
Right.
Well, maybe the laser's acting like a microscope for this code.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's allowing us to perceive something that's usually hidden from our normal senses. I see. So are there other people who've seen this too, or is it just like a few isolated reports?
No, there are others who have replicated the observations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is important because it means this isn't just a few people's subjective experience.
Right. It lends more credibility to it.
Exactly. But what's interesting is that there's a lot of variation in how long it takes people to see these digits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people report seeing them almost immediately.
Wow.
While for others, it can take an hour or two of focused observation.
That's crazy.
Right. And no one really knows why there's this difference.
That's a mystery in itself.
It is, and there's a real emphasis in the transcripts on getting more people to try this and share their findings.
It's like a call to action.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
really highlights the need for more research.
Right, because the more people who report seeing this, the more seriously we have to take it.
Absolutely. But of course, whenever you're dealing with something like this,
Yeah.
you have to consider the possibility of priming and suggestion.
Oh, right. Like if you tell someone they're going to see code, could that influence their perception?
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
And I bet some people are thinking that.
And the people in these transcripts acknowledge that too.
Okay.
But their argument is that while priming is a real thing,
Yeah.
it probably can't explain the level of detail and consistency that's being reported.
So you're saying like
Like if someone is just primed to see something vague,
right.
they might see some patterns, but they're not going to see specific characters or digits.
Mhm.
And the fact that multiple people are reporting seeing the same things
Yeah.
makes it less likely that it's just suggestion.
Right. So it's like there's something more to it than that,
Exactly. And they also talk about wanting to do blind studies.
where people don't know what they're supposed to see.
Right, which would help to rule out suggestion.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting into some really out there territory.
Okay.
Brace yourself.
I'm ready.
One of the speakers in these sources suggests that this laser phenomenon...
Could be evidence for the simulation hypothesis?
Whoa, okay, hold on for a second. What is the simulation hypothesis again?
So basically, it's the idea that what we experience as reality
Right.
might not be the fundamental level of existence.
Like there's something deeper.
Exactly. It's like saying we're living in a simulation.
Like the Matrix?
Kind of. But it's important to understand that simulation doesn't necessarily mean fake.
Oh, yeah.
It's more like saying that our reality is a rendered experience within a larger system.
A higher world, as they call it.
Right.
Okay, I think I'm following.
So think of it like your computer desktop.
Uh-huh.
It's a rendered environment that lets you interact with the computer's operating system.
Yeah.
The simulation hypothesis suggests that our whole reality might be like that.
Like we're just seeing the desktop,
Exactly.
but there's a whole deeper level of reality underneath.
Yeah. And the idea is that maybe a super advanced civilization
Uh-huh.
could be running these simulations.
For what purpose, though? Well, maybe they're trying to understand something.
What?
Like why does anything exist?
Oh, whoa.
Or maybe they're just curious to see what happens.
I mean, that's a pretty big what if.
It is.
But I can see how this laser thing might tie into that.
Yeah, because if reality is a simulation,
Uh-huh.
then maybe this code is like a glitch in the matrix.
Oh, I get it.
Or maybe it's a message from the creators of the simulation.
That's mind-blowing.
They also talk about this idea of the universality of computation.
What's that?
It's basically saying that at its core, reality might be computational.
Like a giant computer.
Yeah, and if that's true, then it means that reality could be simulated.
Because anything that can be computed can be simulated.
Right.
Whoa! They even mentioned this matrix upside-down thought experiment.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Where, like, the digital world is actually more real than the physical world.
Yeah, it's a total flip of how we usually see things.
This is making my head spin.
I know, right? It's a lot to wrap your mind around.
Okay, so there's another element to this that I'm curious about.
What's that?
The whole DMT thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
So, in the sources, they talk about how this laser code becomes way more visible when people are on DMT.
Right.
Like, what's the connection there?
Well, the claim is that information from the DMT space,
Like what people experience on DMT.
yeah, actually led to the discovery of this whole laser phenomenon.
Whoa. So they're saying that DMT gave them the clues to figure this out.
Exactly. And this goes back to this idea that altered states of consciousness can give you access to new information or insights.
Like DMT is showing them something that they wouldn't be able to see otherwise.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that this laser thing is potentially verifiable.
Meaning other people can see it too?
Right. So it's not just some purely subjective experience.
Right.
It's something that could be studied objectively.
So they're saying that DMT gave them this objective knowledge.
Yeah, which is a pretty big claim.
It is. Okay, so
Yeah.
all this talk about altered states and perception makes me think about qualia.
Oh, yeah. Qualia are a huge part of this.
So just to remind everyone, qualia are like our subjective experiences.
Right, like the redness of red or the taste of chocolate.
Exactly. So how do qualia fit into all of this?
Well, one of the ideas presented is that our progress in science might be limited by our current range of qualia.
Meaning like we might not be able to understand certain things?
Yeah, because we don't have the right kind of perception.
That's a really interesting idea.
There's this analogy about needing to perceive new colors
Uh-huh.
to operate advanced alien technology.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
It's like saying our current senses are like having a limited color palette,
Right.
but the universe might operate with a much wider spectrum of colors.
I see.
So maybe we need to expand our perceptual abilities to really understand the universe.
And they're suggesting that DMT could do that.
Yeah, like maybe it gives us access to extra qualia,
Whoa.
new ways of experiencing reality.
That could revolutionize science.
Right. They also bring up Bernardo Kastrup, who's a philosopher who argues that scientists might be really good at playing the game of physical laws,
Yeah.
but they don't actually understand the underlying software that governs it all.
Are interesting. So it's like they're playing by the rules,
Yeah,
but they don't know where the rules came from.
exactly.
And they're saying that qualia might be the key to understanding the software.
Yeah, like maybe direct experience is more fundamental than we think.
That's a really profound idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you listening who are like, I want to try this laser thing,
Yeah.
the sources do give some practical advice on how to do it.
Oh, cool. Let's hear it.
So the main thing is to look through the laser light.
What do you mean by that?
Like, don't focus on the dot on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Look through it as if you're looking into the distance.
Oh, I see.
It's like looking through a window, not at the dust on the glass.
That's a good way to put it.
They also say that a wider laser beam is better.
Oh, so like don't use one of those super focused lasers.
Right. And try covering one eye to help you focus.
Makes sense.
Another tip is to look at the edge of the laser light from a slight angle.
Huh, interesting.
And apparently persistence is key.
Meaning you have to keep looking for a while.
Yeah, they say to keep at it until you start seeing these digits emerge.
So it's not like you'll see it immediately.
No, it might take some time.
Okay.
And they describe this shift from seeing just random patterns to seeing clear digits as a really important moment.
Like that's when you know you're onto something.
Exactly. It makes the whole, it's just your brain explanation less likely.
Right, because it's like something clicked into place.
Yeah. The eye movement involved is kind of like how you look at those magic eye pictures,
I remember those.
where you have to kind of unfocus your eyes.
Yeah, like you're trying to see something in 3D.
Right.
That's cool.
And then there's this weird tip about using a glass of water.
A glass of water.
Yeah, you can try looking into the reflections in the glass
Mhm.
or at the light that passes through the water and hits the wall. The idea is that this might help to make the code more coherent.
I mean, it's worth a shot, right?
Right. Why not
Oh,
try it?
Exactly.
So what are people actually seeing?
Yeah, what does this code look like?
Well, they describe seeing numerals.
Like actual numbers.
Yeah, and characters that resemble Japanese katakana.
Interesting.
And some people have even reported seeing things that look like letters or Chinese characters.
Wow.
One person even says that it is definitely saying something.
Like it's a message.
Yeah, and they also say that it's not static.
What do you mean?
Like it moves and flows.
Wow.
There's a description of three-dimensional characters that seem to be dancing in an organized way.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay, so where does all of this lead us?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that this could be the beginning of something really big.
Like a new area of scientific discovery.
Exactly. There's a real sense of excitement in these sources.
Yeah.
And a call for more people to get involved.
Like we need more eyes on this.
Absolutely. The more people who experiment with this and share their observations, the better.
Right, because this could potentially change our understanding of the universe.
Exactly. The underlying belief seems to be that the laser is revealing something real.
Not just a hallucination.
Right. Something fundamental that our current scientific models might not be able to explain.
Like there's a piece of the puzzle missing.
Yeah. And maybe this laser code is that missing piece.
Whoa.
It's a really intriguing possibility.
It is. It's like we're standing at the edge of a new frontier.
Yeah. And the invitation is out there for anyone to join the exploration.
That's so exciting.
It is.
Okay, so to sum up this deep dive that's based entirely on the stuff you sent us,
Uh-huh.
we've gone deep into this whole laser code mystery.
Yeah, we've explored the initial observations.
How people described it,
The role of
the
consciousness.
different interpretations.
The whole simulation hypothesis angle. Into qualia.
The work.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
And it's clear that this seemingly simple thing of shining a laser on a wall
Yeah.
is actually opening up some really profound questions.
About perception,
Consciousness,
reality,
the nature of the universe.
everything.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. And I think we've raised more questions than answers.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing.
Definitely. It's all about sparking curiosity
Uh-huh.
and getting people to think outside the box. So we'll leave you with this final thought to ponder.
Okay, hit me.
What if the laws of physics, as we know them, are just the operating system?
Like the code of reality.
Exactly. And what if we're only just beginning to glimpse the deeper reality that lies beneath?
Through things like this laser code.
Right. What would that mean for our understanding of the universe?
It would change everything.
It would. Absolutely.
So yeah, think about that.
Let those wheels turn.
And thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time.
See ya.